I mean, they were, I mean, a well-educated, well-brought-up girl, and
Nice girl.
a nice girl. But so when did what was the path into drugs? What kind of path did you take? How did it start?
Well, I've got to say, actually, that's why one of the reasons why I was very nervous about them making cannabis a Class C drug, because my first route into drugs was via cannabis, and I've spoken to lots of other reformed addicts, and you know, often they say the same thing, and I think it's such Russian roulette with drugs. Like, some people might smoke a joint and never have another drug again, and other people might smoke a joint and end up dead sort of 2 years later. So drugs are bad, I think, in any shape or form, because they're, you know, you don't know whether you're an addict or whether it's in you. And I had a sort of family history with my mum being an alcoholic and everything, that I had a propensity to it, and I had to be very careful. And it started, you know, youngish. I mean, smoking cigarettes, the odd one, you know, every now and again, 12, 13. Then, you know, first foray into sort of drugs at sort of 15, 16. Nobody obviously ever knew about it. I'd do it all in secret, or I'd, you know, bump into somebody, say, in Paris, when I go over there on holiday, so nobody in England would know. But you know what I mean? I had these kind of two lives.
What kind of drugs were you on in the end?
In the end, I ended up on heroin and cocaine.
Heroin, it's true. I mean, that's heavy duty, isn't it? Oh.
I mean, you know, the other thing is that I never injected heroin, and for a long time it made me sort of think that that was okay, and that I had a job, and that I, you know, kept my job together, and I, on the face of it, you know, I was kind of trying to pretend that everything was okay, but at the end of the day, heroin catches up with you, and even if you think you've got it under control for a year or 2 years, in the end it'll become a daily habit, and that's when I got into big trouble.
I mean, it's when you start into heroin, I mean, that's highly, well, all these drugs are highly addictive, but they do say that once you take heroin, and what they say is once you inject heroin, that's the beginning of the end, that, you know, you can actually count the days from that point on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm fortunate enough that I never tried to crack cocaine, but I've heard that's, you know, the worst of the worst of the worst. Yes. You know, obviously heroin, I think, is a very powerful drug, and I mean, I almost sometimes don't even like talking about it, because I think if I talk about it in the public domain, I don't want people to look at me and go, well, she did it, and look, she's all right. Do you know what I'm saying? So I get nervous about it, because I think, what can I say to people? I don't want to lie to people and say it's going to kill them the day they take it, but all I can say is that the minute you take it, you're on a slippery slope, so just don't bother starting.
But what took you off the slippery slope? I mean, what made you decide, no, I'm going to stop?
Do you know, I think it's down to my grandmother and the morals that she gave me, because I still had morals. I still felt that I would never steal to support my habit. I had to kind of, you know, keep up this front, and eventually I couldn't keep the front up anymore. And I remember I was I'd been away, it's quite a long story, but I'd been away for 2 months trying to get clean, and I went to stay with my mother, and she was living in Morocco at the time, for a month. And I weaned myself off the heroin, and then I had a month in Florida with some girlfriends, and I was totally clean, and I felt fantastic, and I thought,